2026 is on the horizon. We are almost done with 2025, and it's time to talk about timing the market, and what understanding that buyers and realtors can have next year so that you can know what to watch for. Hey guys, this is another episode of Teach Me Tuesday, and we're all in the Christmas spirit. We hope most of you got your Christmas shopping done. But what we're going to talk about today is what realtors and buyers should watch for in the 2026 market. As we wrap up 2025, we want to give you guys some tips on what to look for, how to prepare yourself going into the new year. I cannot believe it's a couple weeks away. All right, guys, so let's get into it. First off, let's talk about interest rates, right? What can people expect in 2026? I know for 2025, luckily, I'm grateful for it because we've been doing a lot of refinances because of it, but rates have dropped. I mean, if you think about where rates were the beginning of the year,
Yeah.
rates were still in the sevens, sometimes closer to 8%. And so now we've been locking in people at a sweet 5.75, and
Wow.
still on some state housing products. Those rates are at 4.875. So we've been doing a ton of refinances. So let's talk about rates. So Wilmot, does a lot of your clients, do you feel like a lot of them are still kind of payment conscious right now? Are they kind of still on the fence because they're not really sure, or because rates have kind of dropped some, you see them maybe, making some different behavioral moves to get into their home?
Absolutely. I think almost all of my clients are payment conscious.
Yeah.
Um, it's all about the payment, baby. It's all about what is it going to cost me monthly. Only time when it's not like that is when I'm dealing with some investors. They're
Okay.
more so looking at value.
Okay.
The lowest amount they can get for the property. I know some of my buyers that want to live in a home, they want the lowest amount as well. But however, if they need closing costs, if they need some seller concessions, I always tell them, we got to consider that when we're making an offer. So I think as a whole, a lot of my clients are almost always looking at, or always payment conscious. So yeah.
Now, do you feel like payment conscious rank higher than out of pocket costs? Do you think people may be willing to pay a little bit more out of pocket to kind of get their payment where they feel comfortable paying per month?
Um, what I've been seeing recently, a lot of them have been, just trying to be more conservative with what they want and look at something that's more in their budget. You know,
Mm.
I've and also I see a lot of them just being patient and waiting. I'm seeing some benefits in that too because a lot of price reductions have been occurring and getting within their price approval. So I think that's a big thing I'm noticing right now where they're just being patient, they're sitting on the sideline and they're just waiting for that house to drop in price point to get where they want to be in their budget. So yeah.
Well, good deal. But yeah, that's a good point. And Gavin, for you, what are you seeing on the lending side when it comes to interest rate and what buyers and realtors can kind of expect in 2026? I know that rates can kind of be more like a negotiating tool, both on the buying and selling side. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see rates continue to um, either stay kind of normalized where they are right now, or trickle down to more here in 2026. We don't have a increase on the horizon unless there's some drastic shift in regards to the economy or inflation. Um, something takes effect there that drastically changes the climate in which interest rates are going down. We're not going to see the drastic lows of where we were 2020, 2021, regards to getting down to like 2-3%. But hey, if for those who qualify for those rates and that pricing, we are as low as the fours now. Um, it's the high fours, but we're still as low as the fours, which makes a drastic um, change and makes it more affordable for those people who were just trying to purchase at 6, 7, 8% rates.
Mm,
And maybe some that that couldn't get the price point they wanted because the interest rate was a lot higher. It's now giving buyers a lot more buying power with the lower interest rate. So I think agents are now have more flexibility to show certain houses, certain price points because their borrowers are not going to qualify for more,
Mm.
and
Point.
buyers have more of a selection now that they can afford a higher price point than what they could just a year ago.
That's a really good point. I mean, you definitely hit some great points there because that I think what some people may not understand is that interest rate not only does it drive your payment, right? Whether that payment is higher, or whether that payment is lower, it also drives your buying power. Because when we're configuring as a lender what your debt to income ratio is, a portion of that debt to income ratio has to do with what your new mortgage payment is going to be. So if you're able to get that new mortgage payment lower, then in essence you can buy more house. You can afford more house. You can get approved for a higher amount. And then the same thing vice versa. So let's get into the second point about inventory, right? So I know Wilmot, this is your area right here. Not that you have a crystal ball and you can predict the future, but just based on just market trends and things that you're seeing, will there be more homes available, you think, in 2026? Or do you think there'll be fewer? What do you think?
You know, of course, I'm not 100% sure on this, but like I do see a lot of builders building more. Okay, I
Mhm.
will say that they're adding to the inventory.
They are.
They are building more. I'm seeing developments continue to increase in their inventory, their subdivisions increasing. I know in my area, Orangeburg, in particular, a lot of plans for new subdivisions, especially with new development of job creation in certain areas, which kind of like infuses a demand for more housing. So like when you have a situation like that, there's naturally going to be more interest for builders to come in, build more property, build more homes so that they can supply the demand for the new jobs that are coming into the area.
Hmm.
So I will say I do see possibly in a trend up in possible inventory economics. Let's talk about it, Gavin. Interest rates, if interest rates drop, what happens? A lot of times there's a trickle effect.
Yeah, the demand goes, demand rises. But
Absolutely.
I agree with you. I mean, I think with the whole, with there being a lot more inventory of new developments, new housing, um, I think pre-existing, we're going to see more pre-existing homes like on the market because
Mhm,
they have to compete, and sometimes they fall short,
mhm,
to the new builds, because you know if your price point is the same as a new build, not and it depends on the particular buyer, but I would say 75 to 20, 75 as opposed to 25% of people, if they have something new versus something old, they're going to go with something new. Um, unless they have their own little, nuances or whatever they like about pre-existing. So yeah, so I
right.
think we're going to see the inventory levels of pre-existing homes increase as well as these new builds come to the market.
Good point. Good point. I mean, one of my takeaways I would say from what you guys are sharing is, to our viewers to give you guys some tips there is definitely be prepared. Being prepared is something that you just have to be in 2026. If you're looking for like a word of the year, I always like to pick a word every year, but if I could give those people who are aspiring to be a homeowner or someone that's maybe aspiring to sell their property in 2026, being prepared is going to be the way to go. And what that looks like is just knowing your numbers, cleaning up your credit, saving money, being flexible, all of the above, so that when the market does whatever it's going to do, because to be honest, we don't even know what the market is really going to do, but when that does happen, it's not something that you got to like, oh my gosh, let me figure out how do I jump into this market, but you're already prepared to do so. So that's something that I would definitely encourage everyone to do. So
Mhm.
last thing that I want to talk about before, we wrap up for today is we kind of hit on it a little bit. It kind of goes hand in hand with if prices go up and affordability and things of that sort. I don't think we're ever going to really escape the affordability crisis. I call it a crisis that I feel that we're in the South. There's so much demand to live in these areas just because of our climate and our temperature. And
Mm,
because for us in Charleston, we're, on the coast, we're the low country, people love the water, the views, and things like that, the old historic charm. So it's causing a lot of people to migrate from, up north where it's probably snowing right now, in the
mhm,
West Coast where things are crazy expensive, Midwest, which are feeling some of that. Change as well. People are coming to the Southeast. And so, because of that, to your point, you're seeing all these new developments everywhere. Builders are building in every open piece of land that they can find. And it's
right.
pushing a lot of people out of, the city to more rural areas like Orangeburg County, which will then become a little bit more overly saturated, which will also drive prices up too. So, when it comes to affordability, what do you guys think about that? Do you feel like, to a certain extent, I can see from a selling standpoint, most sellers would have to come down on price, in my opinion, in order to compete with some of the new construction in order to probably sell their home. So, quote unquote, that can maybe, I wouldn't say it will add to affordability, but it can lessen the blow a little bit because they can give a little more. I don't know, guys. What do you guys think when it comes to affordability and what's to come in 2026? Do you feel like it's going to get better, or do you feel like we're still going to be kind of on that hamster wheel of trying to, play catch up and not really going anywhere?
Well, if I chime in about that, I'm gonna say this. I don't. I know sellers are going to have to consider brand new builds when they're pricing their home, but also I don't want the sellers to be worried too much about that because the cool thing about a resale home compared to a new build is a lot of times you're going to get more square footage
Good point.
with that resale house. So I prime example, I had a property 1900 square feet sub right there at 200,000. And find a new build. Well, you can find a new build around 1,800 square feet, but you're going to be paying closer to, $300,000 for that particular
Mhm.
property. So
Good.
that being said, there's some pros to buying resale just for my buyers out there that are just thinking, and my sellers out there that might be fearful about that. Instead of dropping price, it might be some improvements you just might need to make in your home to make it more modern. Okay.
Absolutely.
Instead of just dropping your price, hey, spend some of that money, invest it in your house to maybe update light fixtures, update flooring, paint, stuff like that to increase value instead of bringing your value down with price point.
Oh, I
So
love that. That is
Mhm.
such a great tip. Such a great tip. So with that, we're gonna leave that. We're gonna wrap up on the high note there. So what we talked about today for 2026, how to prepare the 2026 real estate and mortgage market. It won't favor the fastest, right? But it's gonna favor the one that's most prepared. So that's our tip and strategy for you guys today is to make sure you're prepared, make sure you educate yourself on loan products, make sure you educate yourself on the market, make sure you educate yourself by partnering with great real estate agents and lenders that can work as a team to guide you through the process of buying or selling your home. So, guys, like always, if you guys have any questions, any topics that you would like for us to discuss in the next couple weeks and going into the new year, you guys, please feel free to reach out to any one of us on any one of our social media platforms. And until next time, next week, we hope you guys, I don't know for sure if we're going to be on next week, but in the event that we don't, we want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. And we'll definitely see you guys next time.
All right. Peace.
Bye.